when we talk about, like, the changing rooms debate is a perfect example of this. The conversation around...
Why should I, as a female, be forced to get changed in front of a male?
Because but this is, again, the conversation about where you view gender and somebody's right to self-autonomy.
I've got no interest in how someone views their own gender. My question was, why should I, as a female, be forced to get undressed in front of a male?
But if we're referring to a trans woman, then that is a woman.
No, a trans woman is a biological male. So I'm asking you again, why should I, as a female, be forced to get undressed in front of a biological male?
Right, but if somebody has a gender, for example...
Okay, so welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Everyday Rampant, and we have the Rampant News. And I want to point out how awesome this particular segment is. She is simply asking a simple question. Why does a biological woman, meaning this is how you were born in your body, is forced to undress in front of a biological male? Regardless if the man is now saying, oh, I'm a woman, biologically, he's a man. And I find it interesting that no one can answer this question. It's constantly coming up, constantly being repeated, and no one seems to provide an answer. And I'm wondering, why is that? Why is it so hard for someone to answer why are biological women expected to undress in front of biological men in female-only spaces? There's a reason why it's females only. There's a reason why you have male spaces only. But it's only women who are being forced to share their space with other men. Now, again, regardless of where people stand politically, this is why these conversations are becoming so heated. One side is focused on identity and self-expression. The other side is focused on biological reality, which is true. This is personal boundaries and long-standing protection for women's spaces. A woman such as myself and my daughter should not have to share the same space of a biological male. And that's just it. Why are they forcing that on us to harm us? But let's continue.
Well, nobody's making you do that,
yes,
Michelle.
Yes, you do. There's cases going through the courts at the moment. I can think of one such case in the NHS where some nurses are taking action because they were forced to share a changing room with a gender-neutral changing room where there was what you call a trans woman, i.e. a biological male, using those facilities. So, yeah, it actually does happen.
Right,
so I ask you again, why should I, as a biological female, be forced to share and get undressed in front of a biological male?
No. I will say trans men are men, trans women are women. That is my opinion, and I think that we need to respect
So we haven't answered it. So basically what you're saying is I, as a biological female, have to get changed in front of some fella because you say the label is...
That transgender people are... Do you think that trans people exist? Like,
I think that what you call a transgender woman absolutely exists. I don't think it's a figment of your imagination, but I think that they are categorically, biologically male. So therefore, they cannot and should not be able to access female-only spaces. Lots of women...
Totally agree with her. Biological men should not be in the same spaces as biological women.
Do not want to have to get dressed and all the rest of it in front of biological men. This is not a controversial view. We have single-sex spaces for a reason. We have an epidemic of male violence against women and girls. We've fought hard to get our single-sex spaces. We deserve those single-sex spaces. Those single-sex spaces are often responsible for keeping us safe. And many of us, and there's women that will disagree with me, and I respect that, but many of us do not want biological men in our spaces, our private single-sex spaces, and nor should we have to have them there just in order to satisfy other people's descriptions.
Exactly.
Right, well, I suppose we're going to have to agree to disagree there, Michelle, but what
but we always have to agree to disagree, but it's not you that then has to get changed in front of a man.
Exactly.
Right, but
You would, because you're in that man's changing room, but you get what I mean. It's not you that has to then get naked and get changed and get undressed in front of someone of the opposite biological sex against your will. It's always us women that have to suck it up.
Okay,
and a lot of us, by the way, are fed up of it.
And she's telling the truth. There are so many parents now that are just upset with the schools. It's happening everywhere. You can't go anywhere without someone trying to force women to accept biological men who want to be women into our personal spaces. They're trying to join men with women in our personal space. So let that sink in with you. I can't go to the bathroom with my daughter and a man gets to walk in and he's in the next stall. And I'm to think, oh, nothing's going to happen because he supposedly identifies as a woman. Yet he has everything of a man. And it's just not fair to us. And it's interesting how no one can provide a response to the question. Why is this being forced upon women? Why do biological women, again, as she stated, have to share our own personal spaces? And many parents, such as myself, when you're looking at schools, we're thinking you're going to focus on reading and math and science and foundational education, not trying to discuss children and their identity and inclusion early on. Kids are now having surgery trying to fit into a narrative that they shouldn't be. How is, a boy now, you're, preparing him to become a girl at such a young age. And then that boy is allowed to go into my daughter's bathroom. And as a parent, you don't have a say. You have to go along with it. And that's why so many parents are now saying, no, we're not going to allow this. We will have to pull our kids out. And all the time, women are having to readjust their lives. There's just no safe space for biological women. Nowhere. They tried to invade sports. Thanks to Donald Trump, we were able to alleviate them from there, remove them from sports. But everyone is not thinking the same. And I'm just really fearful that if Trump or Vance doesn't get elected as president, we're going to be in trouble. Our children would be in trouble. We as women would be in trouble. And another powerful moment that was brought up and was argued is, also we're talking about the medical transition is being prompted too quickly. These things are just being forced on us to accept. And again, should my daughter have to go to the bathroom at school with a boy who wants to identify as a girl? How is she protected? How do we know she's not going to get harmed? And this is something that we all need to discuss. This is something that we all should be discussing, bringing up. How do we keep women and girls safe from the sickness of having to be forced to share our space with men, our female space with men? But let's listen to this. Let's listen to a young girl in school and what happened to her and one of her other fellow students. Let's take a listen to this.
Year-old high school student and wanted to take this time to bring to your attention the current issue with biological men claiming they are women and in turn truly believing that they are entitled to use women's spaces. There was an incident within our district that occurred recently regarding a transgender woman who really is a biological man having an altercation with a young woman at MLK High School. It was infuriating when I had seen the video on social media, but what was detrimental to this is the fact that this man is and has been using the women's restroom and locker room. Firstly, the question we must address is why are we affirming the mental confusion of this boy and putting the safety of women in jeopardy by allowing mentally confused men to use the women's spaces? Of course, any male who claims he is a woman will accept it, but what about the women? What about the true girls like myself who are female down to our DNA? Why don't we ever get a say in whether or not we are comfortable with this? The truth is, we aren't.
And there you have it. There you have it. Women are speaking up. We are not comfortable with having biological men share our spaces. It is very fearful. There's no protection for us, and we're supposed to just accept it. When I walk into a gym and I walk into a room, I remember this was a story, I think it was at Planet Fitness. A mother and daughter worked out. You walk into the changing area, and there stands a man in there changing in the female locker room, or say locker room, changing room, and they were supposed to just accept it. A woman going in there with her innocent daughter, and there's a grown man in there changing. Do you know how traumatizing that was for the girl? It is not fair for women to have to share their space. We're biological women. To share our space with biological men, no matter what they claim their sex is. Biologically, you were born as a man, and as a man, you should go into a male's restroom. And that's it. There shouldn't be any questions about it. There shouldn't be any debate. I am just mortified that this is what our country has come to. So again, you guys, let me know what you think about this conversation. This is really disturbing that this is constantly happening. That in a lot of the blue states, they are allowing biological men to share spaces with biological women. And there's nothing that the women can do. We're to roll over, keep our mouth shut, hold our heads down, and act as if we don't see what's going on. And that's not going to happen this time. We're not going to let this go, and we're not going to allow this to happen to ourselves and our daughters. So my Rampant family, let me know what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section. Remember to always like, subscribe, and share the video with someone. And remember, hit that notification bell so you're notified when a new video is uploaded. And remember to remain curious, stay bold, and I'll see you in the next video.